Unbelievable.
I have read that he criticized and called the Tea Party people a bunch of darn names.
Yes.
And this guy is no conservative. He's no friend, but he plays as a conservative when it's time for re-election.
That's right. But he actually said no and said it and laughed. And oh my gosh, my friend Dave, I'm going to have to get off the air for a minute.
Right.
Because
God bless you, man. God bless you.
Have a good weekend, my friend.
You too.
And we're going to be right back. It is an escapade. This is Janet Jackson, one of Michael's family members. You listen to the Dave Taylor program here on News Talk 640 WFNC. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, the Dave Taylor Show continues. You can reach Dave by calling 864-6400, 1-888-308-0640.
And also, star 640 on your cell phone, your iPhone, your ePhone, whatever communications device you have, just as long as you make sure that the batteries don't explode on with you first. Well, welcome back, everybody. You got your Dr. Dave here, your humble and affable host, and super-duper producer Kevin, of course, who's answering the calls and also providing the fabulous bumper music. You know, we're talking about what happened in Washington this week, and I gave the parable up front about you've been looking to build a house for 8 years. You got the plans, you modify for 30 times. You say that all you needed was a little bit of influx of cash to build it. You get that influx of cash, and you fail to do so. That's what happened in Washington, D.C. I mean, my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, 7 years? And even those, and again, because we're just looking at 3, because there were other Republicans who had reservations. I mean, Rand Paul amongst them and others as well. But they said, listen, let's get it to conference. Because what was presented and voted on this week was not going to be the final version. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who vote Democrat, have been indoctrinated around the educated, let me tell you about how the process works. You have the United States House of Representatives. They voted on a particular bill. Okay, it was passed, as you may recall, here a couple of weeks back. You have the Senate then vote on the bill, and it was a different bill, but then again, it didn't pass. It was supposed to go to conference. So then you have the senators, U.S. senators, and U.S. representatives get together in conference and come up with a dual plan and go for that. So this was not going to be the actual bill. So there'd be really no technical reason, even if you objected to the whole thing, not to at least vote for it to get it into conference. So it boggles the mind that you had these Republicans who would not vote for it to get to conference, and so you could hash out any differences or agreements. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when you build a house, I'm going back to that parable, you may not have great weather every day. You may even change your mind about the interior designs, the tile, the colors, but you still go forward with building the house based on a plan. It was clear that Republicans had no plan even after 8 years of talking all kinds of talk, running on it, and telling their potential constituents that the first thing we're going to do is repeal and replace, and they don't even have the courage to vote for a skinny repeal to get it forward into conference. You know, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, I'm going to say this to the Democrat, as I told you many times before, the Democrat Party is dead. That the downstream media was a plug in life support, but Donald John Trump has pulled that plug based on his tweeting and going directly to the American people. And I have a feeling that there will be a comeuppance. I hate to say this, but no, you clowns out there who have no idea what you're doing. It's not against you, your party per se, but you, Republicans, and just even the 3 of you meant that, because of the public out there working, the forgotten person is out there busting their hump, and yet there's not a single thing been changed about the Affordable Care Act. Their prices are going up, and in Arizona, ironically, that's one of the highest increases, over 100%. And John McCain, where's he from? Yes, Arizona. You would have thought he would have been one of the biggest. Yes, let's move it forward to conference. But he stood up there and then laughed and joked and thought it was funny. This illustrates once again, though, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, the difference between what we have as far as our government here. We have a constitutional republic versus a democracy. If this were democracy, we would have voted directly on it, and it would have been moving forward already, just like we did with Connect NC and also the Marriage Amendment. We don't necessarily need, maybe we do need to go to a democracy rather than a constitutional republic, but that's what we have. Welcome back. So, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, we're going to go away for a few minutes, and you're listening to the Dave Taylor program with super duper producer Kevin and learning Bex today here on this Talk 640 WF. We'll be right back.
Now, the Dave Taylor Show continues. You can reach Dave by calling 864-6400, 1-888-308-0640.
And also, star 640 on your cell phone, your iPhone, your e-phone, or whatever sorts of communications device that you have. And, of course, just make sure that the batteries are intact and they're not smoking when you actually make the call. But star 640, and it is, of course, no charge to you, courtesy of Cumulus and WFMC. Well, that's right. If you think you're good to boogie, boy, do I have news for you. Get on up on the floor, because we're going to boogie, oogie, oogie. Oh, I'll tell you, we're talking about a taste of honey. My goodness gracious of life. It's like Super Duper's in there making it happen. Again, that's him. That's him. He's putting a bumper music together and also answering calls when you call in. But, yeah, that's Hazel and her partner there in A Taste of Honey, Boogie, Oogie, Oogie, which is a name that just, my gosh. I'm going to go ahead and digress here a little bit, because I've got some more stuff here we're talking about. Remember back in the days of disco? No, I was a big disco man. In December 1977, that's when Saturday Night Fever came out and introduced disco as a broad mainstream music venue. Of course, back in those days, and I will admit that, yes, I had my silk shirt and tight pants with the glitter around the crotch, but if you recall back in the disco era, I mean, you're talking about people getting along on the dance floor. I mean, you had those who were LGBTQY. I mean, people just got out there and danced. I mean, you had the disco kids. I recall the discos in Athens, Georgia. Yeah, the University of Georgia. And you just went on the dance floor and just started moving. And I'm going to say it and put it this way. You had no fat kids, because everybody was in shape so they could dance. I mean, you look at it now, you look at type 2 diabetes in the second, third grade. I mean, but back in those days when everybody was dancing and having a great time, people got along better then, no matter what your sexual orientation, no matter what you were as far as your socioeconomic status, because the commonality was dancing on the dance floor. That's right, boogie, oogie, oogie. And I'm just saying that if we went back to that we had kids moving, and that we need to get back to that, I'm suggesting, not because it was just great music, everybody's moving, because it's a big calorie burner, but that's making that happen. So let's go back to the data here. I'm not going to harp upon this too much more, but I do want to say this, that I'm not disappointed with what happened last week, because we're talking about three. Actually, we're really talking about just one, because if either of the three Republicans, again, either one of the two females or the former POW, which I need to call him that now, John McCain, and perhaps we can attribute that to being beaten when he was a POW. Maybe that's a cause. I mean, I'm just trying to give him some out here, but to say it like that in a party and laugh with the Democrats. And I guess he's laughing because Republicans, or those who call themselves Republicans, still vote for him in a Republican seat up there in Arizona, when that's one of the states with the biggest increases as far as the Affordable Care Act. So he clearly doesn't care. But before we went to the break, I was talking about the difference between our constitutional republic, which we have here now, and a democracy. In a democracy such as the Athenians in Greece, and also the Florence city-state, the home of my BFF, Niccolo Machiavelli, you had folks who voted directly. You didn't put people in office who ostensibly supported you, like we do now here at the local level on the city council, and the state level at the legislature, and, of course, at the national level and the U.S. Congress, which is a bicameral legislature, meaning that you have a U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. And both U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Representatives and U.S. Senators, they're both congressmen because they're part of the bicameral legislature. So I heard one show on television the other day saying that a senator could not be a congressman, and only U.S. House of Representatives. That's not true. We have a bicameral legislature, If you read the books that you went to school with, you'd understand that. And that if you're a U.S. Senator or a U.S. Representative, both of you are congressmen or congresswomen in that regard. So, but if we had the direct democracy like we did with Connect NC, when we voted for it, it passed, that was it. And we also had a few years before that the marriage amendment, where it passed 61% across the state of North Carolina, 69% here in Cumberland County. Thank you, Dr. Linda DeVore, for that data. Still got the email on that. And so we're talking about that happening. If we had to vote ourselves on the Affordable Care Act without having to go through our constitutional republic and watch these clowns get up there and make fools of themselves, then I would suggest that it already be done. So perhaps, just perhaps, as we think about moving forward, perhaps we need to have a democracy. So many folks have flubbed that up and say in our democracy, now we don't have a democracy, we have a democratic approach to government. The folks are allowed to vote, except for those who've forfeited that right. But for those who vote, we vote to put individuals in office who ostensibly represent us when they get there. But we found out that that's not exactly the case, too. But I'm saying that we're talking about Hillary Rodham Clinton not being the winner of the national election. I'm saying that she may not, notice what I said, may not have been the winner of the Democrat Party because of the superdelegates designed to rig the process so that anyone other than some designated batter, so to speak, just like in baseball, would win it, that perhaps she didn't even win the Democrat nominee, much less trying to go in there and talk about it at the national level. So let's go to lines that all fired up here. And Johnny, the Dave Taylor program. Thank you for calling, my friend.
Well, how you doing there, Dave? A long time no see. Look, I have a number of topics. Number one,
yes,
is I wanted to go over your thing about the hero worship, and number two, I have the immigration issue.
Yes.
Number three, the LBJ. There's many other things that are going on, but my main one is to talk about President Donald Trump.
Yes, indeed.
Now, when before Mr. Trump became President Trump, right, I heard him open his mouth. And I heard him talking. He was always this rhetoric about former President Obama and his accomplishments. But when Mr. Trump opened his mouth, and I seen his demeanor, my first instinct was he was going to be the president. This was in his vote when he first stepped out, if you can remember.
I do.
My intuition was he was going to, because why? To me, what I was taught, and what seems to be taught about America and how wants to achieve, he epitomized that. He was a businessman. He was successful, and he was committed to his country and welfare. So everyone, to me, even those things said that, hey, this is what America wants. And to me, if anybody didn't vote for him, to me, they was voting against what, quote, unquote, their American dream. Number two, with Mr. Trump, I'm very glad that lately he made this decision about these trans, quote, unquote, individuals wanting to change their bodies and say that they're something else. So I'm agreeing with him 100% on that.
Yes,
that needs
absolutely.
to stop. That's right. If you can't swim, don't jump in the water. If you don't have the equipment, don't try to repel.
That's right. That's right.
And that's no harm to all of the benefit servicemen. Now the hero thing, you on a little bit there, Irving.
That's right. Oh, absolutely.
As I often say this, heroes, it should be a term that we should try to apply to people when they do something very evangelistic,
yes,
when they do something very self-sacrificing, when they do something that is above or beyond they think of their own ability and skill level.
That's exactly right.
So, but not to say because you put on a uniform, not to demean either young men or young ladies.
That's right.
Because you put on a uniform, you're instantly a hero. No, the uniform is not an ability giver. The uniform is something you put on to represent some of those abilities. Give me that.
And there will be any uniform.
Okay, one more. And down. Okay, it's the same thing with. In the courtroom downtown, there's a judge down there.
Okay.
When I go down there, I had a little problem with some registration. Of course, I'm always late, but anyway, I don't know about me. But anyway, he's very not demanding, but very polite. very student-like, and very particular and very articulate about the way he likes people to approach their court cases
Okay.
in the courtroom. And I enjoy hearing this gentleman. I would like to call his name, but I'm not done. But I just want to say, whoever, he knows who he is, and she also.
Okay.